Put some food in you. Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and it is so good to have you with us. Thank you to everyone who is here. We really appreciate you. We just did our live October update for Microsoft Fabric with myself, Neeraj Jhaveri, and with Bradley Schatt from the Microsoft Fabric team. If you missed that after this show, go check that out on our channel. We've got so much that we've got to catch up on. Last week, we were back with backup transparency made easy with extended events and Azure SQL Managed Instance with Mr. Daniel Taylor. Then on Tuesday, we had our Azure Community Roundtable, of course, for you, the Azure Data Community. And on Wednesday, we released how to provision an Azure OpenAI model in Microsoft Fabric ChatGPT. Josh, I can't hear the music in my ear. If you could keep that going, please. Then on Monday, Daniel Taylor was back again with configuration mistakes that can ruin your day, prevent outages and redeployments, and Azure SQL Managed Instance. Okay. Oh, there we go. I've got it. Okay. So much to see. You don't want to miss a thing. If this is your first time making it over to Tales from the Field, give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On Monday and Wednesday, we have our MS Tech Bits, which are our technical videos where we record a solution, some way we were inspired working with you, the community, or worth working with a customer or a product group. Today, though, is Tuesday. It is the Azure Data Community Roundtable, and this is where we show the content from the creators in the Azure Data Community for you, the Azure Data Community. You want to interact with the show, it's so easy to do so. All you have to do is make a comment on the stream, and if so, one of my amazing co-hosts will see that, and we will add it to the show, and you will be a part of the show. Speaking of those amazing co-hosts of mine, I am joined by Mr. Andreas Padilla. Daniel Taylor is not with us. He is out enjoying life on a mountain vacation. I am also joined by Red One himself, Mr. Josh Luedeman. There he is right there. Hey, Dan from North Georgia. How you doing, buddy? And then, of course, hotter than Dan's campfire in the mountains, it's your friend and mine, Neeraj Jhaveri. Woo! So much to do, so much to see. Let's start with a quick call to action. The reason that you're here is because you want to be a part of the Azure Data Community, and we want you to be a part of the Azure Data Community. Head over to Microsoft.com to the Azure Data Community website and find a user group, find the local group that you can work with and make some connections, maybe find your next job, network, maybe figure out a solution to your problem. That's what these user groups are for. And I know all of us have participated in them, and it has helped grow our career. It will help grow yours as well. Speaking of growing, the next thing that you want to do is you want to head over to SQLSaturday.com and find some in-person training with the wonderful people in our community. You can see coming up, we've got Costa Rica, we've got Oregon, we've got San Paulo, Lima, Atlanta, Jacksonville for next year is already in there. I've been talking with Jeff up in Jacksonville, and I think we're going to be there again. We got to figure out if it's going to be all of us, but he definitely would like to have us up there working on the same pre-con that we did for SQL Saturday Orlando, of course, modernized for the advances that we have for Fabric at that time of year. So after SQLSaturday.com, where are you going? Well, then you're heading over to DataSaturday.com to find virtual events from around the world. Again, free training, top consultants, Microsoft employees, Microsoft MVPs, all gathering in one spot to help you increase your knowledge. And one more time, it was last week, but go check out New Stars of Data. The folks, the up-and-comers in our community that are mentored by MVPs were doing their presentations. It was all last week. There was a lot of wonderful content that is all online and available, and you want to make sure and go check that out. And the last thing I want to say is make sure to head over to LinkedIn, where we've got our Microsoft Fabric Learning channel. It's us and the PG over there. People are constantly putting new information, questions, and participating in this group. It is consistently growing. We're almost at 1,500 members, so you don't want to miss out on this. It is a wonderful location. It is your one-stop shop for all your great Fabricator information. Ooh, Andreas, take me home, brother. That's a lot for me to say. I need a break. How was your weekend?
Good, but you know what? like Jeremy Gray, aka Vince Vaughn, said in Wedding Crashers, it's people helping people, man. That's what it is. That's what you just said. It's just people. Weekend was I feel like Sloth from Goonies. Chocolate is about to hit me in enormous amounts tonight. Okay, so I love chocolate. I'm the utmost connoisseur of any form of chocolate. But my hand is a mess because I've been carving pumpkins like nonstop. 5-year-olds and 3-year-olds ask you for a lot when it comes to pumpkin carving. So
yes, they do.
Oh, and one last thing. Like Kramer wants on his headstone when he dies, hey, man's best friend. I want on my headstone, now this guy could carve a pumpkin.
I think you're on the way to getting that, my friend.
I was gonna say you're gonna have to text us a couple of those pictures. I want to see these pumpkins you've been working on.
I will.
I was gonna say it's a kid's job to dream. It's dad's job to actually come through, right?
Yeah, you got to stay up late.
So way to come through over there, Andre. Speaking of coming through, we're here for the weekly roundtable, and there's one man who always comes through when I'm looking at the links that he's going to provide. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. Embrace the Halloween fun with new generative AI features, spooky themed content across Perfect Core's suite of cam apps. Neeraj, what do we got here?
So it's today Halloween, so it's something for you, Josh. They have a nice way, modern way that shows you how to create a Halloween themed generative AI powered feature. So they have a couple of AI fashion that you can do it online. You can also do a selfie or art or something that you want to do it, and that you can keep it as a background, or you can put yourself as the same thing. Nicely done thing. I was playing around. This was my kid trying it out last night, and she was like, can you do this? Maybe in your next meeting you could try this out. And I was going to try it out for today on the Halloween thing. But nicely done. The different idea with your AI, how you can create a Halloween costume and a avatar if you want to make it.
Very nice. Well, and a quick reminder, all the links that we have, we got them in. They're already in the description of the video. So as you see something and you like it, check it out. So if you're looking to be able to see how you could play around with the generative AI with your webcam, now's the time. For myself, what I'm playing around with is I was super excited to see this. One of the things we talked about on the earlier show with Bradley Schatt was about recoverability, and we need to be able to keep this in mind, especially as we're going into Microsoft Fabric and we think about analytics. This isn't just something that we SQL DBAs need to worry about anymore. And so this was a wonderful article that I saw by Mark Luedeman, and I think I got that right. I'm hoping I did, Mark. I apologize if I didn't. But it is recover your XML modified Power BI data set with these Git integrated steps. So if you have a data set, if you have it sitting within Power BI, if tragedy were to strike or adversity, and all of a sudden your data set is gone, this is how you recover those things utilizing the XLM endpoint. And the important thing to keep in mind, this was an advent that was put in Power BI a couple of years ago, where you could connect to the XLMA point, and you could do all of the semantic model, formerly tabular data set management that you had with these capabilities. And Mark walks through the challenge, the documentation to be able to see the limitations in place, what now when the situation occurs, and he does a step-by-step of showing how we can go in to get, how we can get this stuff, how we can recover, and how we can get it back in place. I thought that was absolutely fabulous, and considering that recovery scenarios are definitely spooky, it's important to know you can recover that Power BI data set.
Really? Really, Dad? Really?
Yeah, of course. Well, I was going to say, if you're going to make me do dad jokes, I'm going to do dad jokes real quick. I actually came up with this the other day for Sue, so I put full blame on myself. Of course, my name is Bradley Ball with the last name Ball. I've got a weird last name, and I have a lot of friends with weird last names. I got a friend named Business, and his oldest son, first name Business, middle name Business, last name Business. When we talk about him, he's all business. His second son, his younger son, was out in Hollywood, and he's a stuntman, and we like to call him Risky Business. And his very youngest son of all, he named him private. He was thinking that maybe he would go into the army, but it turns out that he just really likes privacy. And when I asked, because he turned 18, he didn't like his name, he changed it. What his new name was? It was None Ya Business.
All right, I give up.
And now that Josh has completely given up on me, let's go to something that's a lot better and is definitely going to take the bad aftertaste of those dad jokes out of your mouth. And that is Mr. Andreas Padilla with Bring Your Own Data to Azure OpenAI, a step-by-step guide. Andreas, what do we got here?
Great little post by John Aziz and friends. There's a couple of people who collaborated with him. But what we get out of this is a no programming, no coding background required. Get OpenAI set up with an Azure storage account with Cog services. It shows you the whole life cycle that goes in there. You don't need to know how to program. It's really easy to implement. He helps you set up your OpenAI instance, create a deployment, then a blob storage account, then ties it in with Cog services, helps you upload a version, a PDF of Oliver Twist's, and then he shows you how you can ground your searches so they're only pointing to that particular PDF. For instance, it's like saying, hey, I only want to search my own documents, my own data. And that's what you're doing. You're saying, hey, OpenAI, I want to just search my own data. So he helps ground you in that, set that up for you. And then he wraps it in a nice security, make sure that you have your service principals tied in correctly. And then he has you deploy it into a website. All point and click, which I love. Makes it really easy for you to get the concepts. And then last but not least, I believe, let me see if I can pull this up. Where did it go? I thought I had it. John Assis, and they're going to have and I lost it. I believe I did lost it. They're going to have a reactor.
Are you looking at, yeah, right here.
That's what I wanted to say. Thank you. Yeah, reactor session on empowering tech entrepreneurs, how to tie in large language models with the Power Platform. And that's tomorrow. Thursday at 12:30 Eastern. Check it out.
I was going to say, we will absolutely add this to the description of the video. Give me a quick reminder to afterwards. Take a note on that. But we can copy and paste this so that way, if you're watching the video right now, you're wondering how to be able to get over to that reactor session, go and do this. Do you know, is that a live event or is that a recorded event?
That would be a live event.
Okay, so the really important thing to keep in mind is if you're watching this recording and we are past Thursday, November the 2nd, you're not going to be able to see this. The live events actually operate in a Teams channel so people can ask Q&A. And one of the things you can't do, though, is sadly you can't record that and put that online on the Microsoft Developer YouTube channel. So it's very important. That's time sensitive, but we will get that in the link in the description so you've got that after the fact. But that is great, great stuff. Speaking of great stuff, whenever I think of this man, well, right now I'm thinking Star Wars, but clearly I'm also thinking great stuff. It's Mr. Josh Luedeman with service endpoints versus private endpoints. What do we got, Josh?
Well, first of all, I just want to make sure we get this going, keep it going well, the show today, because I really gotta go visit a guy about a floating planet looking thing that's not a planet. Let's try and get through this. But yeah. From the standpoint of the article, this is a great article because service points versus private endpoints is a common, troubled conversation with customers, right? Troubled because, it's hard to understand really the difference between service endpoints and private endpoints, especially for those customers who, are familiar with both. This article does a great job of giving an overview of what service endpoints are, their origins, why they're even a thing, then goes through the private endpoints as well. And then even at the end, goes through and walks you through the whole, pros and cons of each one versus the other, and goes through and says, at the end of the day, this is what you should look for. It talks about, again, you just stop there, DNS configuration as well. It goes over that for both private and service endpoints. So it's a great article. It goes through cost, all that stuff. So, definitely a good one, especially if you either don't understand about the different types of endpoints or still aren't getting it, this one is a great article to help kind of bridge that gap for anybody.
Very nice. I like it. Happy Halloween from Mr. Taylor. Happy Halloween to you too, buddy. Hope you guys are having a great time up there. We hope to see some pictures of some autumn leaves because they've got to be fantastic this time of year. Speaking of something that's fantastic, of course, I'm talking about Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri with warping through data pipelines. What have we got, Neeraj?
So, I mean, this came up while I was doing getting ready for the Live 360 thing, and something very interesting thing where Matthias goes through how in Fabric you can use data pipelines, right? I mean, Data Factory is one of the persona in Fabric, and then he walks you through how to use the data ingestion pipe of using it, data pipelines as a glance. He's giving an example in there. If you go down, Brad, it just shows you how to use the variables, how to use the activities, data movement and transformation activities like copy data, how to put down the variables in there, then getting to the external sources, right? I mean, this every few days we are adding more and more sources into it where you can go to external sources, bringing the data. So right now, these are all the sources that are available in there that you can connect to and bring the data from any of the sources. And there are some ODBC connectors also that you can use it up, and then how you can bring the data into it, ingest it up. There is also he's talking about control flow activities, how to define the parameters, variables, activity outputs, dynamic expressions. There are a few other things that he has very nicely written down. So if you're new to ETL and you have never worked with the ETL like ADF pipelines or in Synapse pipelines, this is a good article for you to read about it. I mean, it just gives you how to do it, get the connections moving. Nicely done. Definitely something that would help you out to understand the data factory persona of Fabric.
Excellent. I love it. And speaking of something that I loved, what I found this video by David Abilo. And David has automating reading MS Exchange email attachments to Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse. And what I love was in this video, David actually goes through the process of showing you an email, giving you a summary of what he's going to do. And then he walks through creating a Dataflow Gen 2. Where he's going to authenticate to his email. He's going to show you how to be able to take a Blake query, how to be able to create the Exchange connector, how to connect to Exchange, and then to be able to then filter through some of the different sets that he's got to be able to start saying, here's my inbox, here's the data I've got, let's pull these particular rows, how to be able to filter, and then find specific email attachments and load them. One of the first things it made me think of was certainly customers where you might have a log report you're doing at the end of the day, or you might have something that you're doing at the end of the month, and you could have a email account where when people send these things in, if they're expected to say from a regional office, you could grab this and you could immediately incorporate a data pipeline that would capture this data and put it into your Lakehouse files up in Fabric so it could be consumed and it could become a part of your analytics workload. I thought this was a very, very tangible, very cool example of what you can do with Microsoft Fabric. And speaking of something that's really, really cool that you can do, I, of course, think of this person, the Captain of Cool. He likes to say the Bambino of BAM, but it's Mr. Andres Padilla. And, of course, he's talking about managing Databricks asset bundles. And I just thought that sounded fascinating.
No, it's fascinating and fancy. I love this thing, what Databricks just put out. Thank you, Matt Weingarten, for posting this. Great 3-minute read. If you guys don't know this, Databricks just came out with asset bundles. And what is an asset bundle? Well, it lets you put everything in a box. What does everything mean? It means you can put in source files, your notebooks, your Python files, the declaration and settings for Databricks jobs, Delta Live Table pipelines, model serving endpoints. So all those configurations, you can put them in the same bundle. You can put your unit tests in there, your integration tests, and all those configurations. And then now that they're in a bundle, I can tie CICD around them. I can use them in code reviews. I can do testing. I can pass them around. I can do better collaboration with teams and individuals who are working in one project. So if you have a project and all those artifacts can go into that project, now I can source control it, make it a lot easier to pass around and unit test it. Oh,
That's
and the other thing
fantastic.
about the article is that Matt tells us the good and the bad, the ugly about
I
ACID bundles.
I definitely like that. I'll be honest. When you started out with box instead of bundles, I was like, step one, put Databricks in the box, right?
Open the box.
Yeah, there we go. I don't think we're going to go any further, given the dad jokes that I said earlier. Yeah. Can bad dad jokes be punishable by being left on the Death Star? Asking for a friend. I don't know, but you were talking about this thing that might be a planet, maybe a planet. I woke up this morning with a bad feeling. So good luck out there, Josh. Everybody's rooting for you. And speaking of rooting for you, I was cheering you on when I saw this link because it was one I thought of putting in myself. And it was our good buddy, Mr. Kevin Chant, CICD for Microsoft Fabric data warehouse using YAML pipelines. Josh, break this down for me.
Yeah, so this is a great article. And again, Kevin does a lot of great work, especially with using, GitHub or, really any of the development tools, source control, and deployment options around Fabric. So this is another great article in that same vein where he actually goes through, using YAML pipelines with Fabric and really what's available from a feature standpoint at this time, which right now what we've got is using the CICD YAML pipelines within Azure DevOps to deploy the dedicated pools, databases, and structure within that to your Fabric instance. But this is a great article. He walks you through all the syntax, for the YAML to be able to, deploy, take it out of source control, and then ultimately deploy it from your artifacts into your Fabric environment. So it's a great article on that. Again, as always, top level stuff from Kevin going into the code and all that. So great article as always.
Absolutely. So I know that Neeraj Jhaveri had to drop. He's got some stuff that he's got to attend to from a family perspective, and we want to thank him for being able to be here with us today. But I'm going to take his next link because one of the things we covered this on our October update because it's such a big deal. And that is that Microsoft Fabric's October 2023 update by Mr. Ryan Majidam is available. And what this is, you don't want to miss this. This breaks everything down by the individual service, right? So we've got items for core, we've got admin, we've got Power BI. Under Power BI, there's multiple subsection. You can see that we've got a connector update for Snowflake, Starburst, and then we've got Synapse, we've got data warehousing, V-order write optimization. That's very exciting. SKU guardrails for burstable compute, data science. The semantic link is now in public preview. And then Josh, your big love right now, real-time analytics, KQL database capacity reporting, KQL data auto scale algorithm improvements, filtering the visualizations, event stream UI improvements, and event stream for Kafka endpoints as well.
I feel like we've looked at this today. Is that possible?
It is possible. We didn't cover it in depth, but we did cover it in the previous broadcast with Mr. Bradley Schatt because it's a really big thing that people are going to want to know, and that's part of the reason that we do these updates every single month. Our next one will be the last Tuesday of November after we get back for the Thanksgiving break. And of course, this next one, I was super excited to put this up, and I realized that while this is one of my good running buddies, I had not put him on the show before. And so this is Mr. Nicky Van Verovenhoe. And Nicky specifically took a question that Koen Van Beek, another one of our running buddies, said, is Microsoft Fabric capacity not running? You cannot use Power BI reports. And so he walked through pausing a Fabric capacity. What does it actually mean? And he said, so I really wanted to understand, what does it mean when I pause a Fabric capacity? Will it stop working? What can I do? And what can I not do? And he takes you through the important considerations, the setup, the different tests that he did, because he wanted to know for all these different things, what can I do? And so he went, well, if I pause my fabric capacity, can't access the lakehouse, can't access the SQL endpoint. So it was really interesting to be able to go, okay, when we pause a capacity, what does it do? What can I access? What can I not access? And then he gives us a really beautiful conclusion where he says, can we access? Can we refresh? Can we import? Can we see the capacity metrics? Can we download? Can we save? And so he walked through this in depth. So I think it's important that as we say to folks, hey, you can pause your capacity metrics, which you absolutely or your fabric capacity, and you definitely want to do that like in a dev test environment or only in a prod environment if you know that you're not going to have any workloads at a particular time. But mainly this is going to be a dev test thing that we're doing. But it's important to understand what you can actually access and what you can no longer access.
Right.
When we look at
And that's good to know. Yeah, because Fabric, Power BI, separate products, but you wouldn't. It's not something necessarily that I had thought about yet. So that's good to know. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Up next. Geez, wow. It's been a long day. I've been up since 5 a.m. So I think we're going on almost 7 hours, 8 hours of my day right now. Up next, I have, of course, the one and only Mr. Andreas Padilla. Andreas, you got Calculate Your Carbon Footprint by Jack Roper. This sounds your cloud carbon footprint. That's also a bit of a tongue twister.
Oh, I think in today's day and age, there's a lot of people and a lot of companies trying to become more carbon neutral, trying to reduce their footprint here. And one of the great things that we have that's actually possible, if you are a billing administrator on your Azure subscription, you can follow the instructions here that Jack Roper put together, and you can download a Power App and into your Power BI workspace. And then you can tie this into your subscription, and they can tell you in this dashboard what kind of carbon footprint you're actually, imprinting in on our poor Mother Earth here. So it's a quick win. It will definitely give you some insight of how much carbon your apps are and analytical workloads, your data is generating within your Azure subscription. Hey, in those data centers, you're generating energy, you're generating electricity. And if you can make them as optimized as possible, you're actually, and reducing your carbon footprint. So great win here.
I was going to say one of the great things is we've hit our carbon neutral pledge. We're working towards zero emissions for all of our data centers. In Microsoft, I've always been impressed, especially when we go to campus or when we look at the different things that we've built over the years, how we've always had sustainability in mind, especially when it comes to what we're doing. So that's something that we take incredibly seriously, but also very cool. And as it becomes more important to companies to understand these things and even be able to report on these things, it's awesome that we're putting together an app to automatically allow you to be able to see, hey, what does your footprint look like? So that way you can understand how things are working. Really, really awesome. And speaking of really awesome, of course, last but not least, we got Mr. Awesome himself. Make sure and come back safely from that mission later. And he's got another Mr. Awesome that he's presenting on, Mr. Marco Aurelio Cardosa, our good friend and our colleague. And he's got Deploy Semantic Kernel with Bot Framework. What do we got, Josh?
Yeah, so I saw this article and it just dropped here within last week, and I wanted to make sure to bring it up because of course it's Marco, so we all know it's great stuff. But where he goes through here is using the semantic kernel paired with OpenAI to actually create a bot, and it's a bot that's actually looking at the data. In this case, he's using AdventureWorks to actually respond to channels and stuff. And so the nice thing is he gives you the code that he does through all this. Great screenshots, but walks you through the process and makes it really simple just to get something basic up and running. And the nice thing is the use case he's using, since it's using Azure OpenAI, you're not using the public AI model, so that you could possibly take this and look at your own data without the risk of sending it to an external AI model. But it's, deploying it as you would in your own environment with your own instance of the AI model, running there so that you're not sending your data outside of your environment. So, I mean, real life use case using data that you could then switch out for your own pretty easily. I was all about it. I was like, yeah, let's throw this out there.
No, I love this. And the really important thing to keep in mind, right, is when we're talking about data, we at Microsoft, when you're using Azure OpenAI, are not storing any of the data that you use whatsoever. We've got that in our documentation. We've got that in our security. The big thing to keep in mind is, and we kind of went over this in the October update because I talked about how we provision an OpenAI model so that way we can utilize that within Microsoft Fabric to be able to create these ChatGPT functionalities. And we defined what ChatGPT functionalities were. But it's important to realize that there's networking options at that point in time. So if you have sensitive data, you have particular protocols in place surrounding your data. If you have private endpoints and things of that nature, you could plug an OpenAI model into your network specifically, or you could have it out over the internet. Now, of course, the stuff that we're doing with demos, if we're connecting to it from our local workstations, it's going out over the internet. If we are using something like Microsoft Fabric or we're using an Azure app service, we're not going over the internet. And so nothing is exposed whatsoever. You're in the Azure backplane right there, which is incredibly nice because I know security is something that we always want people to have top of mind in their process. And the great thing about what you said about what Marco is doing is if you took all of this, and if you're doing it within Azure, you're not going to have a security concern if you decide to turn around and point this at your data to be able to consume your data. And it gets you that much further to just be able to begin asking about it. Great stuff.
Yeah. And you were, I didn't word it perfectly because you were hitting on the networking piece. I was even talking about sending the data to a public model. So like not it getting to the model, but it using that public model, which then the data is captured for retraining in those public models like chat.openai.com or the other ones.
Right.
So that I was more referring to a private model versus public one, but you're exactly right with the networking as well. That is hugely important.
Absolutely. And every Azure OpenAI model is a private model. I think that's what you're getting at right there.
Yeah, that
the
was more what I was getting at, not the networking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like if you went to OpenAI, ChatGPT, and you got a key to be able to use their models, then that data could theoretically be retrained. I'll be honest, I'm not
part of the agreement. You're fine with them capturing it so that they can use it to retrain. So yeah.
I was going to say that's
do that with your data. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Demo data, sure. But
I feel like I'm waving my finger for our friend data chick, Karen Lopez. Like she'd be up there. Don't just send off your data to that stuff just willy-nilly.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to wrap things up. And if we're going to wrap things up, we really only have one big announcement right now, which is coming up in just a couple weeks. I mean, we're here on the last day. It's Halloween. First off, everybody be safe and have a great time. We're super excited for Halloween. I may not have a costume on, but I've got plenty of stuff all around me in the office. You can see.
I'm going to say, you've got everything else. It's fine. I didn't get down Mjolnir. He's still up on the bookcase, but I felt like that was mixing too many genres here. That'd get a little weird.
So have a happy Halloween, but Josh, give it to me quickly. Where are we going to be in just a few weeks?
Oh, dude, we're going to be at Live 360, man, and on the beautiful grounds of Universal Studios that's action-packed, and at the beautiful and luxurious Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort and Conference Center for Live 360.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The only place you want to be in November, the week before Thanksgiving. Come and enjoy Universal Studios with your family. Come to the event, learn, and just soak in all the information. Hang out with us. Go to the pre-con with myself, Josh Luedeman, Buck, Woody, Daniel Taylor, Neeraj Jhaveri, our good friend Bradley Schatt from the Fabric Cat team is going to be there. I mean, it's just a star-studded occasion. You're going to learn Fabric all day long on Monday, and then go enjoy those parks. I mean, that's how you get the knowledge out. Just scream and then stop by and get a voodoo donut.
There you go.
Maybe one with bacon. All right. Well, hey, everybody, again, happy Halloween. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. For everybody here at Tales from the Field, take care and goodbye.
Negative thoughts are poison they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop.